All right, welcome everybody. You can start making your way to your seat. Get started. Okay, well, welcome to the November 15th, 2022 membership meeting of the Delta Amateur Radio Club. A few housekeeping rules. Like always, if you're on Zoom, please make sure that you mute unless you're speaking or something. Also, make sure you go through and add your name and call sign to your signature. And then if you're here on the break or afterwards, if you have not already, we've got sign-in sheets over there. Please go and sign in. Just a reminder, starting in January, we're going to start doing the tickets again, so that way we'll do the prizes at the end of the year next year. So it's a good habit to get back into, to go over there and sign in. All right, so before we get started, we're going to start off with introductions, and we will start, well, this table over here. I know you gentlemen are guests, but if you could just share your name and then give a call sign, your call sign.
Crazy, KQ4, TJB, and I'm going to next. Congratulations.
And then this table.
Hi, David. Which 5 Delta Julius? Kilo Yankee score, Mike X-ray. Joe Walk, November Sierra 4 Echo.
Ben Haynes, KY4.
Very Kilo 4 Sierra Zulu.
Dan Kilo November 4 Foxtrot Bravo Juliet.
Janet Can 4 FBI.
Pam W4 Jim Steve Kilo 4 Victor Papa Tango. KW4 RJ.
John KO4 CQS.
Richard J4 DX7. Rick N0 KY. Rick W84 FBF. Back when the camps were old for tank calls. Started I remember that one, Mark.
Barry W5 CJ.
503 KO4 CJ.
I'm Sean KK4 LST.
I'm Todd, Kilo X-ray 4 Mike Quebec.
Dan M9 BNA. Barry November 4 Golf Juliet.
Joe W84 OBO.
John Kilo November 4 Bravo Victor Hotel.
Scott Graham 1B in the
Jim 84 FQ.
moving to before the
All right, Mary Jean, KY4FB. So, again, welcome everybody. The introductions are great. So many members have been here for a while and know pretty much who everybody is, especially Joe. If you've been through his class, you can tell your name and call sign pretty much on the spot. So, but this is great because that way when we come in and everything, you might hear somebody on the net every night. It's great to put a suffix or a call sign to a face. So, all right. So before we get started with the business portion, we've lost 2 members this week, Mike Sale and then Danny Banks. Danny Banks hasn't been in the area for a while, but he was an active member when he was here and they moved away. So We lost 2 members this week, so I just want to take a moment of silence for them. All right. I know we'll have them in our thoughts and prayers. So I don't know if Pam is on or not, but we're certainly thanking you, Pam. And if there's anything we can do, let us know. All right, so now it's time to vote on the secretary's minutes and treasurer's report.
I make a motion that, we. Come on, yeah, whatever it is.
Second.
And it's published as part.
All right, so Pam, W4GMM made the motion to accept the secretary's minutes and treasurer's report as published in Sparks. I think I heard that in there somewhere, right? And then Dan, K4, FEJ, seconded the motion. All those in favor, raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no, or raise your hand. All right, the motion passes unanimously. All right, so real quick, we'll go on and cover some announcements. So first, Bob, you want to come up here and tell us how the BE testing went?
We had no tester.
No testers. Okay, simple enough. So, all right, and then we will not, so for those on Zoom, we did not have anybody test tonight, and just want to confirm again, there will not be a test session for the December meeting, correct?
Yes.
And there may be more. I think Joe's going to fill us in a moment, but so no test session before the December club meetings as a potluck. Speaking of potluck, for those of you who did not attend the meeting last month, December meeting is a potluck, so we will not have Zoom links to this because it will be a potluck. There will be a very, very brief business portion, basically long enough for us to vote on the minutes and the treasurer's report and then make any announcements. But other than that, we'll go right into eating, and then there will be a few awards and everything. So just want to get a show of hands, because what we've done in the past is the club purchases the ham and cooks the ham, but we need to know for 1 or 2 hams to cook. So the club members, we all bring a side. We can bring an alternative main dish, or we can bring dessert or something like that. The club will have drinks, the ham, plates, and utensils and things like that. So can I get can you raise your hand if you plan on attending the potluck in December? All right, so definitely 2 hands, I would think, correct?
But you got one's gonna be here all night.
So 3 hands in December. All right, sounds good. So, all right. So again, yeah, no Zoom link for that meeting, and depending on who's elected, I think the plan was to try to shift back into in-person meetings. We're still going to try to record the meetings next year, and of course, if anybody has an issue with that, please volunteer. And then we continue doing this on Zoom, but if not, I've got a camera over there that I'm going to test out today to see how it picks up the recording. And if that's the case, we'll at least try to record the meetings and post those to YouTube. So if you can't make it in, if you're sick, you can at least watch and show what happened. Of course, even if you don't have that, you can always check Sparks for the minutes for what's happened, and then check in on the night information. All right, Joe, you have a lot to announce with you.
Thank you, Mary Jane. On training, general class is going right now. Bob Grady is in it. But anyway, we have 13 in the class. I think we'll be doing testing on the 5th of December, unless we run long on the classroom. A lot of questions and answers. that will come with it. If it is the fifth, then it's the 12th, and it'll be here at Allendale, probably starting at 7 or 7:30 in the evening for the testing. Then in January, we probably will start an extra class beginning the first week in January, and then probably a tech class the latter part of February. So that probably is scheduled for the next almost 6 months. I did bring up in the Sparks about ARRL membership. We tested out my tech class in August, and 2 of the members signed up through the club, and the club got $15 a person for signing up. If you do renewals, we get $5. And your membership does not have to be at the end of the membership. If you join through the club, it will be tacked on to when your expiration date is, so you don't lose any time if you go ahead and sign up for ARRL membership through the club. This is one way that we can help support the club and not doesn't cost a member anything, but it helps the club out. And we're trying to see how that is working. It didn't go too good on the first 2. It took about 5 weeks to get them in, the memberships in. Somehow or another, the mail, I don't know if the mail didn't get there, if it got there late and got someplace else, or what. I did send copies of the forms and their checks that were sent in. And if they didn't get the original, they could process it, the checks through the processing that they do online buying through the company store, through ARRL store. This is something I thought we would try to for the club. And then one other thing is that we did talk about the silent keys, but I did want to bring up Hugh Wardlow, who was one of our past presidents back in 09, 10. He had a severe stroke several weeks ago, and was in St. Francis, and has been transferred to Madonna, Ava Maria Nursing Home in Bartlett. Clyde Getman has been keeping me up on how he's doing. He is improving some, but he's got a real long trail to go to be able to speak and everything. What I'm trying to do is I asked Clyde to get me his address before tonight. He didn't get it to me, but I think you would love to receive letters and cards, get well cards, and all of that. He is not able to speak, and I'm sure that's driving him crazy since he was very talkative. But what we'll do is we'll get it out by next month for sure, what his address is. You might also, if you want, send a card to his home address, and his wife will take it to him. That might be the better thing to do, is send it to him, and he's good in QRZ. So that's, I think, all I have. Anything else for them? I gave up coming home.
Yeah.
That's it.
Used to more announcements. But, okay, well, thank you, Joe. Does anybody have any questions for Joe about the commission, the upcoming class, the current tech class, or the current general class? Any questions?
Application or the membership, ARRL membership, is the link in Mark.
Okay, so for those of you on Zoom, if you would like to, in the process of renewing your ARRL membership, if you'd like to help raise a few dollars for the club, go into Sparks. Joe took the time to write up there all the details in there as well. And there's a link for the membership application you can print out. So we're not going to take any credit card information, so please don't put that down. But we will do cash or a check, so that way that can be sent on straight to ARRL. So please don't put your credit card information on that, or we'll tell you to take that form back. All right, Barry, do you have any updates for us?
No, thanks.
All right, well, no update for the repeater. It's a great update. So, well, it sounds great. I know on the net, it seems like everybody's been checking in okay. There was 1 or 2 times we had power ins, but other than that, everything's been sounding great. WildNet, just a reminder, we have started that back. So now every Saturday night at 8:45 p.m., we offer the WildNet. So anybody can check in. It's on the 146.820 W4BS repeater. And it's the same PL tone as the regular net, and 107.2 hertz. And so again, 8:45 every Saturday night. We'd love to have you. And I've got, for those of you who are here, we're going to get ready to place another polo order soon. But I forgot to bring the polo with me, but some of the sizes are out of stock. But the price, depending on the size that you like, if you'd like to place an order for one of the ones, some of Jim and Scott have the polos on. So they're the tactical polos. They've got the pin pockets for the sleeves. They've got the little clip holders for the microphones. If you use that, it's got our club logo on it, name and call sign. So, and they seem to hold up pretty well. So most of everything went up this year. So with tax and everything, it ranges from 41 to 49, depending on the size you need. But I'll have these printouts up there. If you are interested, my email is listed in Sparks. But please email me, and then when we get close to actually making that order, then I will let everybody know what's going there. All right, and then just a reminder, the 2022 year is winding down. So if you haven't already, if you're here in person, we've got membership applications. Unless you're a life member, we do need a new form from you each year. It's just $20 for the year, $25 for the family, and especially with everything with inflation now going up, as far as we know, we are not increasing our prices. So $20, the big thing is going to go, of course, to keeping the repeaters and other equipment updated. I know that can be a very expensive task to do, but we try. There's many repeaters in the area that we use those funds to keep up and working, especially Barry and anybody who works with him to help. It also goes to help fund things like food, snacks, and different events like field day. It goes to help offset the cost for the bus to Huntsville. And then, of course, as we get to attend in person, snacks, drinks, and all that at the meetings. So if you come to even a handful of meetings in a year, $20 goes a long way. And it's hard not to get your money's worth, especially if you're checking on the net or anything like that. So if you haven't already paid up for 2023, please go get a form from Jim and see him tonight. And then if you are at home on Zoom, you can go on the website, deltaclub.org, and print out an application. You can actually type it in online there, and then print it out and then mail it to the address. So does anybody have any questions about any of that? All right, does anybody have any other announcements to share with us here in person? Anybody on Zoom have any announcements to share? All right. So, we're going to start in on our business portion. So John, you have that sheet. All right, so tonight is election night. We have not bombarded you with political ads or anything like that. You may have gotten a tap on the shoulder here and there, but the last time that we met, the nominations were made and there were no double nominations, so only one nomination was made, President Mary Jean Hall, KY4FB. Vice President, the nomination was for John Reiners, KN4BBH. Treasurer, Jim Martin, KD4FUU. Secretary, Paul Broom, KY4MX. Director of Training, Joe Lowenthal, WA4OVO. Director of Publications, Mike Harrison, KM4MRW. Director of Meetings and Special Events, Scott Adams, KM4PMU. Director of Programs, we did not have a nomination for. And then, all right. So, we did have a change up for that. So Perry Hayes has volunteered to serve as Vice President. And just for formality, I'm going to hand it over to John.
Yeah, I would like to formally rescind my nomination for vice president and nominate Terry Hayes. And someone would be so kind as to nominate me for director of programs.
All right, so I've got a second, Richard K4DXF. All right, so now we've got Terry Hayes, W4JG. Yeah, JG. Oh, N4JG. It has been nominated for vice president, and then John is now nominated for director of programs.
I make a motion, we accept the nomination and elect them by acclamation.
All right, so, before we do that, are there any other Okay, so, is there any objection to closing nominations? All right, so, we've got a motion to close nominations, and Ham made the motion to accept the nominations by acclamation. So, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Those say no. All right, so it is unanimous. So we have, at least, well, mostly, the returning for officers for that, but we've got a few new folks. So, thank you to everybody who served, last year, who is leading us, and then thank you to everybody who is going to step up as well. And that being said, as an appointed position, Barry, can we continue to accept your service as computer trustee? Wonderful. And then I don't know, Ms. Lynn. Okay. So we'll take it down for thank you, everybody, for putting your faith in us. And it doesn't seem like we're doing too bad of a job so far, but we're always welcome to reach out and let us know if there's anything we need to improve. But then we may also break you in and helping if you do that. So, all right, is there anything else before we take a short break? All right, so it's 7:24. We're going to take about a 6-minute break, 6 to 10 minute break, and then we've got a guest speaker with us, David Thomas, to tell us about everything going on in ARRL. So we're going to take a short break and then reconvene in a moment. All right, can somebody on Zoom talk for a moment so we can double check the speakers?
Yeah.
Hello?
W40Q, hello? W40QG, you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. All right.
All
Well,
right.
thank you. All right, so I'm gonna hand it over to John to introduce our next speaker. So let's see, I've got recording going. Okay.
All right, good evening. I am pleased to announce that for tonight's meeting, we have David Thomas, Kilo Mike 4, November Yankee, India, and he is the section manager for Tennessee. And he'll be talking to us this evening about everything that's going on in the ARRL. So, Dave, you're up.
All right, thank you, John. I appreciate it. Can everybody hear me all right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, great. Appreciate it. Thanks for asking me to come tonight. It's good to be here with everybody on Zoom this evening. You know, when COVID came about, I was really concerned about the effect that was going to have on the amateur radio in Tennessee and the clubs and the club meetings because everything was canceled. But it ended up being great because it seemed like it got us involved in Zoom. I don't know about the Delta Club, but here in Knoxville, we had some really great speakers from Yesu, ICOM, all kinds of groups that without Zoom we wouldn't have had. So that really helped. Well, tonight I don't want to go into a long, drawn out talk about you know, the ARRL and the 5 pillars of the purpose of the league because I have a feeling that most of the ladies and gentlemen that are here at the club meeting tonight are familiar with the ARRL and what the league does and the purpose of the league. So what I would rather talk about is spend just a little time to kind of give everybody an update on what's going on nationally and what's going on back here a little closer to home. I guess the biggest news the last few months with the ARRL has been money and club grants. Don't know how many people are aware of it, but a group that had a lot of money that needed to be distributed wanted to give it to radio related things. They worked out a deal with the ARRL Foundation to process applications and disperse the grant money. The first round has already been completed. They gave away $272,000 to radio clubs across the country. Tremendous amount of money. They had the response to that grant application was fantastic. They had stacks of clubs with great ideas sending in applications to get the grant money. Unfortunately, they only had limited amount, 272,000. So they gave away every penny of that in round one. And there were a lot of Tennessee clubs that applied for it. The Greenville, Tennessee, the radio club up there on the eastern side here, they did receive a grant and were approved, but some of the other ones weren't. However, round 2 recently just closed a couple of weeks ago, and a lot of those same clubs reapplied for round 2, which is $500,000. So I don't know if the Delta Club had turned in an application, but if you need money for something for the club, don't forget about that. And there'll be more opportunities coming up next year to apply to get some of that grant money. So that was one of the biggest things that's going on now nationally. Also, a couple of new people that have been hired recently at the league. The first, Mike Walters, is the field services manager who came in just earlier this year. And he has really been shaking things up and doing some good things with field services. He is very much a club oriented person. And I don't know how many of you have received some of the emails that has the club newsletter. They're starting that back up. I think they did that years ago. But they've brought that back out as an email newsletter. And so he is really big on working with the clubs. And this whole program, I was really happy to hear the fella talk a few minutes ago about the club commission program where you get the $15 for new members and $5 for renewals. The old program wasn't as much money. It was a little more complicated. And so the update of that, where it went up to $15 for the new members, $5 for renewals, our field services manager had a lot to do with making improvements on that, and they're not done yet. They're still looking at ways to improve that a little bit, but they've done a lot of work on helping everybody in field services, including the section managers. On the ARRL side, we have a new director of emergency communications, and this fella, a lot of you people out there in the Delta Club might know him, Josh Johnston. He's from over in Arkansas. So I thought that was really great. They hired somebody for the director of emergency communications here in the Delta division. And Josh is a very impressive guy. He has spent a long time, as a ham operator and familiar with our side, but also worked in emergency communications for served agencies back in Arkansas. So he brings knowledge from both sides of the fence, which is something that was really needed in that position. But he has really done a good job. He is just, when he first started, he spent a lot of time listening. He didn't want to go in and start rocking the boat right off the bat. He wanted to listen and learn and kind of get a feel for everything. I was impressed by his approach. And so now he's starting to really take off and make some waves. Very Aries focused. And so looking forward to what he's bringing to the table. Has anybody spent any time on the league website in the lifelong learning, in the educational part? If you haven't, I really suggest you go to the ARRL website and check out lifelong learning. The education and learning manager is a guy named Stephen Goodgain, and he is very focused on getting the website updated with the lifelong learning program and getting educational materials online to help out clubs. And also he works with amateur radio in the school system. And I spent some time with him earlier this summer when I was at league headquarters in Newington, and very impressed with him. He works with schools all over the country with amateur radio clubs. And in fact, he just got back, I think, this month from a conference in Georgia about educational technology, where he had the opportunity to speak to hundreds of teachers and school administrators about the ARRL and all the programs that we offer to encourage amateur radio as a hobby in the school system. So a lot of good things going on nationally, but a little bit closer to home, back in Tennessee. Got an email the other day where some research had been done on amateur radio in Tennessee, and found out that in the state of Tennessee, we have 19,896 licensed amateur operators in the state of Tennessee. So you might as well say 20,000 amateur radio licensees in our state. So that's a huge number of licensees. And basically that means one out of every roughly 350 Tennesseans is a ham operator. And out of those, we have 3,570 ARRL members in the state of Tennessee, which means that about 18% of the total licenses in Tennessee is a league member. But that's a little bit hard to look at it that way because, not everybody is active. We have a lot of people that are licensed, but maybe haven't been on the air in a while, don't belong to a club, they're not really engaged in the hobby. So if you consider that maybe, 40% or so of all the licensed hams in Tennessee are active and engaged, then that means about 35% of ham operators in Tennessee are members of the ARRL. And league membership in Tennessee actually really grew during COVID. I was afraid that it would go down, but it didn't. And I think a lot of that was that people were at home and they were on the air. And I think COVID actually did a lot of good for the hobby in Tennessee because, all of our net numbers increased. The Tennessee phone net, local nets, club nets, all that seen a big uptick in participation during COVID. And it's held up to some extent since then. So we actually grew quite a bit in ARRL members, up to over 3,700 during COVID. But now since then, things have shrunk back some. And so as of last month, we were at 3,570, which is about 100 less than where we were a couple of years ago. And it takes a lot of people rejoining and renewing just to break even. We lose about 35 members a month in Tennessee due to silent keys or people that move out of state or don't renew. So we have to have 35 new people join the ARRL every month just to keep things breaking even. So, that's something that we can all work on is explaining the value of league membership to new amateurs and the new people coming in. Also in Tennessee, a lot's been going on with traffic handling, and I'm sure that there's a lot of people here that check into the phone net regularly and are familiar with that. Harold Davidson, our net manager, who is a West Tennessee fellow, Harold is now assisting Tom Wolf, our traffic manager, for the phone net, and so they're making some waves with traffic handling in Tennessee to try to revitalize that. Harold just announced this evening another simulated emergency net that's coming up the end of this month, I believe, on the Tennessee phone net. People have been participating in that and have received a lot of positive comments about that. And the revitalization of traffic handling and the national traffic system, it's going on here in Tennessee, but it's going on at a much broader level nationally. I was on a conference call last night for an hour and a half about the rollout of NTS 2.0, which is a major overhaul of traffic handling and the national traffic system. And it's the first one that I've ever been aware of. I mean, traffic handling and the NTS is something that's just kind of stayed the same for a long time. And so I think that, the board realized that that needed to see some changes, needed to be updated and brought into the new century. So they're spending a lot of time working on that. And like a lot of things that is changing right now on the national level with the league, they have not done it from the top down, like the national traffic system and the revitalization of that. They didn't start with the board of directors and say, okay, the board members are going to sit down and figure out what we need to do. They started from the field up. They started out by getting people that actually pass traffic, getting the traffic managers involved in that to get their ideas first and take that information and move it up the ladder instead of taking the people at the top and shoving it down to the field. And so that I've been really impressed with. So a lot's going on with traffic handling. Also, I don't know if Tom Bridgewater, NA8X, if he has been to a Delta Club meeting yet or not, but he is the affiliated club coordinator that covers the western end of the state. Tennessee is a pretty big state, especially east and west. And so it's really hard, for me being over here in Knoxville to get over to Memphis and to some of the West Tennessee places. It's just a lot of traveling, and same way for people like the club coordinators. So we've got Tom to cover the western part of the state, and another guy that's over here in Crossville that handles this over here. But anytime the Delta Club needs any type of assistance or has questions, of course, you can reach out to me, but you also have Tom Bridgewater, who is over there on your end of the state, who would be more than happy to come out and speak to you and offer, any assistance that he can give. So I don't want to spend a whole lot of time running off. I don't want to bore everybody, but I want to leave some time. I want to have time for questions and answer, because sometimes it seems like I learn more on the Zoom calls and going to the club meetings by getting questions from the people there. So I want to ask, and hopefully we'll have some of you might have some questions that you would like to ask. And if I don't know the answer, I'll do my best to find it for you.
Well, we can start, does anybody on Zoom have any questions or comments?
And you can throw rocks at me if you want to. I'm on Zoom, so I think I can dodge it.
All right, well, what about here in person? Any questions or comments for David? Oh, quiet group, okay.
Very comment on the ARRL membership. New members considered a new ham or somebody who's had their ARRL membership lapse more than 2 years. So if
Right.
somebody hadn't had their membership for more than 2 years, it's considered it in a new member status. where
Right.
you get, rather than the 5.
Yeah.
So John-
If they're a new licensee or if they're an old licensee, they could have been a licensed ham operator all their life. But as long as they haven't had an active membership in the last 2 years, if they join through the club, then the league will send you back a check for $15 commission. And I don't know how much the membership dues are in the Delta Club. Here in Knoxville, our club dues are $20 annually. So when somebody joins the league and the club gets that $15, I mean, that's within $5 of being just like getting a whole other membership, set of membership dues for the local club. So a lot of clubs make some good money off that.
Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. I've got a question about, maybe you, sorry to put you on the spot. Did you have any info about the Spectrum Defense Fund or anything that's going on with that? I noticed that's been kind of an initiative going on. I didn't know if there was
Right.
anything specifically that is at risk for losing anything, or you got any info about that?
I'm glad you brought that up, because I'll be honest with you, if in my opinion, if you look at everything the league does, and I mean, and that is, there's a tremendous, the depth and the breadth of what the league does, and what pies they have their thumb in is really amazing. But in my opinion, if you take away everything else, if the league just focused on Spectrum Defense, it would that one thing right there would make the whole thing worthwhile, because out of everything they do, I think Spectrum Defense is probably the most essential and the most important function of the ARRL. I forget how much it was here a few years ago when they had one of the FCC auctions of Spectrum, and it was unbelievable the money that they generated, billions and billions of dollars, with this auction that sold just a little tiny sliver of Spectrum. I mean, it was like, when you looked at it, you thought to yourself, it's next to nothing, and billions of dollars came in off that auction. And so that kind of makes you think, of what we as amateurs are up against is, we don't have that kind of money. There's that profit is not there for us. So, Spectrum is something that is very valuable. And in Spectrum Defense, the league constantly has their ear to the ground about what's going on in that arena. And so it seems like, before you hear anything, on the internet, the league, I found out, is already aware of it, and they're already working on it. So I think they've done a pretty good job. Now, anything specific right now, I'm not aware, of anything at the moment. But, when anything comes up about that affects us, one of the first things they do is do a press release and get the members involved in it. And it actually does a lot of good. I don't know how many people might recall last year, the Forest Service and the proposal that they put out that, our clubs and organizations that have repeaters on the air that are located on National Forest Service lands, and all the money that they wanted to start charging for us to have those repeaters on Forest Service property. And that's not necessarily Spectrum, but when they came out, with public comment on that, the league publicized that. A lot of people responded, and so now they're taking a second look at that, and hopefully they'll back off of it a little bit. For instance, when the FCC implemented the renewal fees and licensing fees, that was initially, proposed to be $50, and it ended up being down to 35. We have members to thank for that, because that's the league pushed really hard to encourage and get people to comment on that. And the FCC received thousands of comments from ham radio operators, to say, hey, this, let's reduce this. I mean, they gave people gave real good reasons to reduce that from 50 down to 35. So it was the people that are on this call tonight, and the you guys sitting there in Memphis, the people that done the public comment, that's what made the difference in that. So I got off track a little bit, but anyway, Spectrum Defense, I don't know of anything in particular right now that's going on, but that's something that's never ending with the league. That's constantly being looked at.
I have a question.
Sure.
Speaking of the FCC administrative fee, what is the league looking at on trying to reduce that fee even further? And I understand that the fee is reviewed every 2 years. So we've got a year and a half to go before it gets changed. But is the ARRL positioning itself to reduce that even further? Because I don't think the direct cost of keeping up the FCC database and its processing is $35 a person.
I don't think so. I agree. I don't think it is either. They're going to want to work on that again to try to reduce it even further, I'm sure. But I think what they're waiting on is to wait a little bit closer to that time until the FCC publishes some numbers and kind of find out how much of this $35 that they're getting, how much of it is even worthwhile, because how much does it actually cost them to process this? What's the cost of doing this? Because if you recall, according to the FCC back several years ago, the reason that they got away from charging anything, charging a fee, the reason they stopped was because they said they really weren't making a profit off of it. It cost them so much to process it, it wasn't worthwhile. So hopefully it'll work out the same way. And so when it comes time to review this again, the ARRL can go back and encourage the members, of course, to do public comment and push to get it reduced even further. I think the goal actually is to eliminate it. Reducing it's good, but I think eliminating it would be what the majority of people would want to push for. So I'm sure the fight for over the $35 fee is probably not over.
Hey, David, I got a question for you. I'm
Sure.
a new ham, first year. ARRL member, and my question is as a new ham, what would you consider like the top 5 things that I can get back from ARRL for my investment? So I think the magazines that I can subscribe to, they're awesome. Some of the education resources, they're awesome. What else can I get out of the platform besides those things that you consider for a new ham would be valuable to me?
Well, I think I think the first thing that you brought up was probably one of the most important parts, and that is a subscription, not just to the print magazine, but your digital subscription, of course, to all of them. As a new ham, for years, we really didn't have anything except QST and QEX, and QST is a great magazine, but sometimes for new hams that are just getting into the hobby, it gets a little bit deep on the technical side. And so the league came out with On the Air magazine. And so I always recommend that if you're a newly licensed ham, get your print subscription for On the Air, because that is a really good publication that's geared toward new amateurs. And then your QST, of course, you can read those online. Of course, all members, you pick out what you want to subscribe to on paper, but you have access to everything else online. Publications, you brought up that, and that's probably the second, actually part of the first, I guess, with QST. I don't know of any other organization in the country that publishes the level and the number of books that the ARRL does, and is constantly working on changing and updating those. They just came out with the new handbook, and it's the 100th edition. I don't know if you noticed the ads in QST. They came out for a couple months, and they just had a black page that said 100 on it. And so I had received several emails. People want to know what that was. It's the 100th edition of the ARRL handbook, which is pretty good. But there's a lot that the league offers in learning that you don't have to buy and pay for, like books online. I would recommend for any new amateur and even people who have been around for a long time, go to the website and check out the lifelong learning section of the website. I mean, they have some tremendous things there that are available that don't cost a thing. It's a benefit of membership, and so that I would be sure to check out. There's a lot of things people I don't know, they don't advertise it, so I don't think they think about it. But the league even offers insurance, and I don't know how many people on the call might have insurance through the league. I know I have had it for years. So, and when I say insurance, it's, equipment insurance. I mean, basically you put it on a list, you pay a premium based on, the value of what you want to insure. And it's radios in your shack, radios in your truck. I mean, if somebody breaks into my truck and steals my HF rig and my screwdriver antenna, I file a claim with the insurance company, and for a $50 deductible, they replace it. If lightning runs in on my shack and knocks out everything I've got, as long as it's on that sheet, it's covered. I pay a $50 deductible, don't even have to mess with my homeowner. So that's a benefit. But also, as a new ham, if you want to give back to the hobby, there's a lot of ways to do that within the ARRL. In Tennessee, field services, we have appointments all over the country. Almost every county in Tennessee has an active areas group. So there's, emergency coordinators, assistant emergency coordinators. It's divided up into districts with their ECs and assistant coordinators. So a lot of ways that you could give back if you want to get involved in the areas program. If emergency communication is not your thing, there's a lot of ways to give back through the field services organization and the ARRL and other ways. We have, relay stations that are across the state, some that, official emergency stations, bulletin stations. We have assistant section managers. I've got 6 different ASMs in the state, in different places to help out. Club coordinators. I mean, there's so many different things. And we always need help with these. We always need help. So if anybody that's on this call right now wants to be a service, to the broader amateur radio community, let me know, because, I don't know, I guess the best way to say it is we have a job for you. That's for sure.
Any other questions, comments, thoughts?
Also, in addition, the EC 001 and EC 016 training courses for emergency communication. Like, let Dave know what I said.
Joe mentioned the EC 001 emergency communications classes that are put up online for that training as well.
Absolutely. And, you know, those courses, anybody that, if you just think you might be interested in emergency communications, take that introductory course. It's very, very worthwhile. And you'd be surprised how much you can learn in that, just the introductory course. What about any complaints? I can't believe I'm here and I don't have anybody with a complaint. Man, something's going on tonight.
All those guys fell asleep.
Well, I do have a comment, I guess, or kind of a comment question. So at Huntsville, some of the leadership of ARRL attended the meeting there, and they were talking about some of the issues going on. And you mentioned it a little bit, talking about the decrease in numbers, but I guess, can you expound a little more on kind of what ARRL is doing to try to boost numbers specifically in our area? Are you trying to work more with getting some of the younger generation in, or are you looking to maybe reach out to some of the members who used to be members but then haven't renewed in a while? What's the overall approach that ARRL is doing to try to get membership up?
Well, here in Tennessee, it's really kind of tough to say. I mean, you know, there's not a whole lot you know, that we can do other than encourage people. And I know that there are some things that have came down from national level that has helped. I have been told by several different clubs that I have spoken with that had questions when they first came out about the club commission program, when they updated that, and then I followed back up with them. And I've been told that some of the clubs that were not doing that before because it wasn't as much money have now changed their mind and decided to get involved in it. And so they have been increasing the numbers a little bit. So I think that has helped a little bit here in Tennessee in particular. Some of the other SEC or section managers in other parts of the country I've talked to, you know, it's really odd. Some states are really big on that, and some states barely even know that it works. But I know our club coordinators have worked really hard with the clubs to kind of help them out on that. And so that has helped a little bit on our numbers. And of course, Tennessee, you know, we have been really lucky as far as members. During COVID, we were in the top 5 or 6 sections in the country as far as increased percentage, you know, of increased members. So we done really, really well during COVID. And still in the Delta division, we're the you know, the 900-pound gorilla in the room. When you compare the numbers in Memphis, we are over twice as big in Tennessee as any other section in Delta. Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Tennessee, those are the 4 states in this division, and Tennessee is over twice as large as the second place. So, you know, Tennessee has a lot of influence in the Delta division because we have just a tremendous amount of members, and our numbers have been going up until just here lately, and they've kind of went down a little bit. And I think I had looked it up the other day, and we're about 100 members less than we were 2 years ago. So I think we've got a little bit of work cut out for us now that COVID is over, to keep some of those people engaged and active and involved in the hobby.
Any other questions, comments, complaints?
We can say Delta, this is the first time that we've done a membership. The Delta Club, and I don't remember ever doing it before. So we're one of the new clubs doing the membership drive through ARRL.
Yeah, and Joe said, this is one of the first times that we've done, or this is the first time we've really done the membership drive. Of course, I know, with Joe and starting out, I got my license a few years ago. I know going through the class, they certainly talked it up, and that's why I joined, is because of what Joe and some of the other hands in that class said. So, but yeah, we are on board. We're starting to work with this commission program, and we've got a few in so far, and we're gonna to encourage that. And I know the 15 and the 5 is a pretty good number to encourage us to do that. So we certainly appreciate y'all having that set at that rate.
Gary James, one thing is make sure that ARRL is processing those applications in a timely manner.
Yeah, and Joe did mention to encourage you guys to make sure that as the membership forms come in, to continue to process those in a timely manner. Because I know our first batch that we sent in, it was over 5 weeks, and so with the second batch, or the second membership form that we tested out to make sure it wasn't. I don't know, we were just concerned about it, but we didn't want to give up on it. We sent a second one in, and it went a lot more smoothly. So
Yeah.
Certainly encouraging you guys to, and I guess it's working through it, but encouraging you guys to work through that and keep it going as quickly as possible, because that might in itself encourage clubs to join in on this.
Yeah, and it should always be quicker than 5 weeks. It generally should never take that long unless something happened or the mail was late or something was going on. But if you ever have a problem or a question about that or an issue, if I can help, let me know, because things like that's what I'm here for. And if I can't get the problem fixed for you, I'll find out who can.
And when you're promoting the commission, be sure to remember to let the club know that the check doesn't go out until the last Wednesday of the month.
Yeah.
Yeah, and communication goes a long way, so even if it's not the news they want to hear, just hearing that it might be the end of the month before it goes out might help as well.
Yeah. Well, I think what they try to do is wait, because I know some clubs send them in, as they receive them. And so, they might send in 2 or 3, different applications over the course of the month. So instead of issuing, 2 or 3 different checks a month, they wait till the last of the month and pay out everything that they've got. So I can kind of understand that, but you're right. If they're not telling people that, they probably should.
We do have a comment.
Sure.
When I renewed my membership in August for 3 years, it took 5 weeks to get a renewal back.
And that was
No, I
mail.
got an email. I never got a membership card. I've never got anything else.
Did you send it in through the mail or on?
Yeah, that was through the mail.
Could you help me out a little bit? I couldn't hardly hear him.
Yeah, he was saying that he did not send in, he sent in a 3-year renewal, and it was not through the commission program. He sent it in through the mail, and it took 5 weeks or a little over. And so he didn't get anything. He only got an email, didn't get anything in the mail confirming that. So
Okay.
just sharing concern with you.
That's the same
It took a
time
long-
frame when I sent it in on the 22nd of August.
And that's the same time we sent ours in, around that time. So
Okay,
I don't know, was there something going on at the national level or around that time?
I wouldn't doubt it, because I don't know if there's anybody on the call tonight that has had any issue with their ARRL email forwarding. They've been fighting with that all summer long. Earlier in the summer, they started a major revamp of the website and the IT, all the systems that work in the background to keep the website up, the lifelong learning program, the ARRL database, the email forwarding system. They started spending a lot of money to basically bring some of that into the modern age. I mean, some of that stuff was really, the back office things with IT were really outdated. And in doing so, they've caused a lot of issues that they've had to work on. So I'm wondering if that's what was going on in August, since it happened not only to the club, but also to a regular membership renewal there at the same time. I would say that that had something to do, that it was the league's fault, and I would just about guarantee it was IT related.
And then you may have something to share at the end, but you did mention that we could contact you if we have any concerns. So what's the best way? Would it be a phone number or email? What's the best way to contact?
My call sign, KM4NYI at ARRL.org or ARRL.net, either way. Or you can go to the section website, TNARRL.org, and you can reach me through there. But, email me directly anytime. And if there's, I mean, if you don't get your QST next month, let me know, and I can get to the right person and get it taken care of for you.
All right. Any other questions, concerns, comments? All right, our Zoom folks. Do you guys have any questions or comments on Zoom?
I'm curious, how many people are there in person? Because we got 13 people on Zoom tonight.
I think we had about what, 29 or 30, give or take. So.
Wow, you guys have great attendance at club meetings. That's great.
It's slow.
Yeah, we normally have about 55 or 60, 65 folks here. So of course we've been in a transition with doing the hybrid stuff for a while. So we'll have some online, we'll have some here, and then for the time being, as long as we are able to, put our recordings on YouTube as well and get a handful of views on there. So a decent
Well, I tell
crowd.
you what, there's a lot of clubs in Tennessee that would be really jealous over the Delta Club. Seeing all these people coming out for the club meetings. That's great.
Oh, for sure. We've got, I have not double checked the numbers lately. I think we've got over 150 or so paid or life members. If not even more than that, at one point I'd have to again double check. And then we've got, I think, around 650 or 660 members that we'll send out an email to each month for our newsletters. So of course we've had several over the past so many years move away or whatnot, but we still have some join us from other states when they can. So we're definitely lucky to have so many active members and so many folks who check in on our information nets and everything. We have a great group of folks here in Memphis, Tennessee.
Well, now, do you all have a daily net? I think I heard somebody say.
We do 146.820 with a 107.2 hertz PL tone, but we do every night at 8 o'clock Central Time. We'll have a nightly net, and we keep all our nets listed on our website, deltaclub.org. So if you're ever in the area, certainly check that out, and we'd love to have you join us.
Oh, I will. Well, thank you. I didn't know about that. That's great. I really like that. There's a couple of other clubs I know that started doing nightly nets during COVID, and some have continued it, and some have let it kind of fall by the wayside. So that's good to know that the Delta Club has that going on out over there in West Tennessee.
Tell them about the 440 net.
So we actually started, and I will say real quick too, we've had the nightly net for a long time, and we've got how many net control operators rotate out? You think 15 or more?
About 15.
We've got at least 15 net control operators who rotate out to make that nightly information net possible. So We have a pretty great audience each night as well, but we started a 440 net a little over a year ago. We had a repeater that we weren't really using and started that up on the 443.700 frequency, and we started it right after our net and just to test it out and everything. And then we had a few repeater issues, and we were actually able to use that as our primary frequency for the nightly information net for a while. So we're certainly always, I mean, there's other nets. We've got a bullfrog net that we have every now and then.
Simplex.
We've got, on Simplex, and then we've got some other nets that we have. So we have a lot on our plate, but there's a lot of volunteers who have keeping that going for years. And then the new nets and events that we have as well. So.
Well, that's great because, I travel other places sometimes and it's kind of sad. I went over to South Carolina to the beach earlier in the summer. All the way over there, driving over there and all the way back. I had all kinds of repeaters programmed into my radio, 6 meters, 2 meters, 440. I always monitored Simplex. Do you know who I talked to? All the way to the ocean and back. Nobody. Couldn't get anybody on the air. So it sounds like you guys have a lot of activity going on with the nets and stuff on the repeaters over in Memphis, and so that's really great because you're fortunate, and a lot of it is. It sounds like you all are having fun with it, and that's what makes people want to check into nets and participate and things like that. If it's fun and they enjoy it, then they'll be back and they'll take part of it. So it sounds like you all are really doing a great job.
Well, thank you. And one event we always look forward to, we've got a pretty good turnout, is the ARRL Field Day each year. So I know we enjoy that. We've got several stations, and I don't know exactly how we fare compared to other clubs at the very end of it, but we get to have satellite. We'll have solar panels, different stations, of course, for the HF.
And Swelter.
Oh, in the heat, yes. It's pretty tough this year, but a CW. So we certainly have a good showing and have some fun, and we're hoping that we've got some ideas that were shared. We tried to do we had a meeting where we talked about and kind of digested everything with how Field Day went for us this past year, and a lot of ideas were shared. So we're hoping to try a few things and get some more folks engaged in different ways and everything this upcoming year. So, but we certainly, and I'll say on behalf of our club, we certainly appreciate that ARRL has that as a national event, because it's a great opportunity for us to get folks out on the air and get some new folks to the hobby to get out in the field and see what it's about. So
Yeah,
thank you.
Field Day. Field Day is my favorite thing. I love doing that. And as section manager, I kind of miss, spending all night and, operating the Knoxville club. I mean, I kind of miss being up. We do ours at the park here in Knoxville. And I kind of miss, spending all night there and all the fellowship and being on the air, because I tend to travel and visit other Field Day sites. And so next summer, next Field Day, what I want to try to do is to drive out to West Tennessee and spend Field Day in the western part of the state. Because right now, the last couple of 3 years, it's like, I leave Knoxville and I'm on the road Field Day, that's a lot of driving, but between Knoxville and Nashville and try to hit as many Field Day sites as I can. But maybe next year I can try to go out to West Tennessee and spend the whole Field Day time out there and stop by and see you all.
Well, we may hold you to that, but no, you're always welcome to come to Memphis. We actually join up with some of the other organizations in the area as well. So it's not just Delta Club. We get together with Neshoba and Mara And then Aries, of course, which a lot of our members are involved in all the different clubs, but
Yeah,
really like to get together with other clubs in the area and we all share resources for that. So you're always welcome to come and join us, and we'd love to have you.
I appreciate it. Like I said, I'm going to try to do field day next year in West Tennessee.
Any other questions or? All right, well, thank you, David, so much for taking time out of your day to log on and speak with us. We certainly appreciate it. And if you get a lot of complaints emailed to you later on, I hope they're not too bad, but no, we appreciate you being willing to listen to that feedback and to
Sure.
share with us what's going on. So thank you
Sure,
so much.
anytime. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, let's see. Does anybody else have anything before we go? Anybody on Zoom? Okay, so a few reminders again, everybody. Don't forget, December, we will not have a link to Zoom since that is a potluck. The potluck, the club will provide the hams, the drinks, the regular plates and utensils. Everybody else needs to bring want to bring an alternative main course, you can, but I would say stick with sides or desserts, and then if you need a serving spoon or something, bring that as well. You get a question?
Is there any organization about the side dishes? You know, you don't want 20
So
macaroni and cheese.
in the past, we've let it up to just whatever will happen. Somehow it all seems to kind of work out. But if you do have a concern, what we may do a little bit closer is share a few things or talk about it. We might talk about it on the net or something one night. But no, we kind of leave it up. And I guess at the end of the day, if we have 20 sides of sweet potato praline, then the most important thing is that we're all together getting our fill of sweet potato praline. So, but good question. So. All right, if you're here in person, please make sure you push your chairs in and kind of pick your area up. And if there's nothing else, we will be adjourned at 8:23 p.m.